Okay, today's lesson is on making fire starters, and you might say, well, what's that all about? But being prepared in the wilderness and having something that you can use to help you make a fire makes your life a lot easier. You're more likely to make fires. And we like to, or I like to have our groups use fire to do some cooking, at least heating and boiling of water. So if you're, first of all, there are three things you need to make a fire and get a fire going well. And that's you need an ignition. Okay. So this here, our lighter is our ignition source. Okay. And one might think, well, this is all you need. We'll get things going in the bush quite easily with it. But you'll find that there are certain days when it's really wet, very humid, you can't find a lot of dry material, and you need something that'll help get your fire going a little better than just a lighter. The other two things you need to make a fire are some sort of fuel. And in our case, we could use wood shavings. Birch bark is a really good wood fuel. It's excellent if you can find it because birch bark has some oils in it that allow it to burn quite well. And the oils that we like to use are actually called wax. So this is just a classic little wax candle. It's actually smells. It's got citronella in it, and which is good because that's supposed to help keep the bugs away. And so I've just taken this and I've melted the oil down, and so that's one of my other fuels. Another fuel I like to use is dryer lint. So I literally took this out of the dryer from our basement and where we were doing laundry, and I'll just show you how well it burns. And it is an excellent fire starter, so it doesn't take much. Look at that. And it was burning really well, very fast. So you got to be pretty bad to not be able to get a fire going with some lint. Another option that works really well with these is cotton balls, and for women, cotton makeup pads are a really good thing to use. Okay, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways that we can build fire starters. One we don't typically use when we go out in the bush just because it's a little more bulky and stuff, but it's great for around the home if you wanted to make up some of these and you were making a campfire in your backyard. And it starts with a egg carton. So this is just 4 pieces of an egg carton. We're going to fill up the 4, and we're going to use this to make a fire starter. Okay, so I'm going to set it down here. I'm going to adjust the camera so you guys can see me. You can still probably hear me talking as I work on this. So this is the purpose of this is to be able to demonstrate. So one of the things I like to do is take some wood shavings, and here's some nice wood shavings. You'll see they're nice and curled, and the curling of them is really important because that helps keep air pockets in there. So when fire starts, these things will get going and allow some airflow into the bottom in all different places. So I'm just taking a few of these. I have made a bunch of them. I'll show you how I made them, really quite simple. All I do is I take a stick like this and a knife, and you can see here how I just shave it off in big pieces. I'm not going to do it here on my nice table. I usually do it on a floor or something that doesn't matter. So I've now added some wood shavings to the bottom of each of these 4 containers. And now I'm going to take a little bit of lint, dryer lint, not too much, just a little bit of dryer lint, and stuff that in there. Okay, and do that on each of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one kind of got ripped off, so I'll grab another little piece here. I got quite a stash of this stuff here. If you're looking, look at that, a big stash of it came out. Different colors depending on what kind of things were in your dryer at that time. So some lighter ones, some redder ones. Most of the purple ones here is what I'm using. Now I'm going to put some more wood shaving, even a little bit of pieces of a little bit bigger piece of wood in them. That will allow things to burn a little better as it gets to it. So sometimes I just break them apart a little bit as I go here. A few more wood shavings along. And here we go. Okay. And now I'm going to put some more dryer lint on top. I got quite a bit of this wood shaving, so I'm going to use it up. It's not no harm in doing so, right? Let's break that piece a little bit. I don't like to put big pieces that are sticking out too much, but a little bit, it's okay. And here we go, a little bit more in this one. And then we're going to go back to the dryer lint, and I'm going to stuff it up. And I like to kind of sometimes make a cone out of it. I've seen people do this where they kind of cone it up a little bit, and this works really quite nice, and away we go. Now, another option is to lay a bit of birch bark in here, and sometimes I get them to stick on the outside and stick right up like that. Makes for a little bit of a wick later on when we want to start one of these things, and birch bark is really good at burning, so I'll stuff some of these in here, and away you go. It's a little bit of a finicking around and getting things just the way you want, but you can see here I filled up my eggshell cartons pretty good. Hopefully you're seeing that fairly well in the video. Now, what I've done is I've taken a couple of my citronella candles like this, and I've melted them. And to do that, what I do is I melt them in a can. So I'm gonna bring the camera back up to me and just kind of halfway. Here's the can that I used, and I don't melt this by just putting this on the stove. What I like to do is put it in some hot water. So it's like a double melter. And I don't know if you can see, but I've now melted the wax in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple different fire starters by pouring the wax on here, which is really handy. The other one I'm going to do is using this makeup pad. I'm going to bring the camera back down. So this is the makeup pad here, and here's my can. I'm going to just turn it up just a bit, so I hope you can see this. And all I'm going to do is take a pair of needle nose pliers and dip this into my can of wax, and then I'm going to just use a tin foil tray. You can use wax, paper, anything to set this on to dry. This is going to be another fire starter that I make. It's my simple one. So one quick dip into the can. You can see maybe the wax is dripping off. And then I'm just going to set it here, right here, onto this and just let it dry off. And that's all it is. It's a little makeup pad dipped in wax, okay? And give it some time and it'll dry, and we can pop it off of that pan quite easily. Here's an example of one that was already done here. So this is a hardened now. It's full of wax. It's a makeup pad that's just loaded with wax. And in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the rest of my wax onto these guys, okay? So I kind of go around each one, try to leave a little spot for a wick to start. That's what the I got to be honest, that's what the birch bark works out really good as. And you'll see that the wax dries so quickly in the can that it leaves a white residue there. So I'll sometimes use this can over and over again to melt wax in and make more of these. I usually have a set at the school, and that wax there is going to burn. The more wax I put in, the longer that thing is going to burn. And once this is dried up in a few minutes, I'm going to actually cut these into 4 different pieces, and each one will become an individual fire starter. In the past, when we've tested these out, they burn for about, I don't know, might not be a good idea. They burn for anywhere from like around 10 minutes just sitting on their own. And so that's a lot of time for you to get a good fire going. Now, these ones don't give you the same kind of burn, okay? This particular one, sorry, you probably didn't see that, but here they are when I've got them all poured in. These ones don't give you, these ones give you a long time to burn. They take some time here to dry. This one here will not give as much time. But this is what I like to do. These ones I bring in the trip. They're nice and small. They're handy. They're very useful. And what we'll do is we'll bend it in half and tear it in 2. And when we do that, what we do is we expose a whole bunch of cotton right here in the middle, so you can see the rim of cotton. And then I bend it onto a little arc like this, and I set it on the ground. And simply taking a lighter to this will light that. And you'll see me do that when we do our actual fires. So I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to burn my beautiful bench on my garage, but I'm going to show you that how it works when we go outside and we do start some fires and we use the little bug stove. So these things are really useful. You can pack along a whole bunch of them. They're water resistant. If they get wet, they'll still work when we tear them apart. This is dry. I find them extremely effective. And since I started using these a few years ago, I find kids are far more likely to make a fire and use the little bug stove to cook with, as opposed to using a gas stove. The little bug stove uses sticks and branches and various other things. And so students are more likely to use them. All right, so that's our lesson on fire starters. I hope you enjoyed that. And off we go into the bush. There will be the next one where we actually make a fire.